Welcome to the Hockey Writers Blackhawks Banter, a weekly show with our top Chicago Blackhawks writing crew, bringing you the latest news, rumors, trades, player grades, game results, and much more. From training camp to the playoffs, from Chelsea Dagger to the Madhouse on Madison, our team covers everything that happens with the Hawks. So get comfortable, grab a beverage. It's time for some Blackhawks Banter. Blackhawks Banter.
Hello, hockey fans, and welcome to the second segment of Blackhawks Banter for this week, our episode 83. Be sure to catch our crossover segment. We just hosted Melissa Boyd, who covers the Montreal Canadiens for the Hockey Writers. We discussed the Dach trade to Montreal, and she also gave us some really good insight regarding Luke Richardson, who was assistant coach there before he came in and is now going to be the 40th head coach of the Chicago Blackhawks. But the draft was just this past week. So, of course, my colleague Brooke and I would like to talk about the implications of all the picks and trades that went down. So, Brooke, let's talk about the DeBrincat trade, the biggest news. Alex DeBrincat, just hours before the draft, the dreaded rumors came true. DeBrincat was dealt to the Ottawa Senators for 3 picks, 7th overall pick in the first round, the 39th overall pick in the second round, and then a 3rd round pick in 2024 draft. So you actually, Brooke, wrote an article. Everybody check it out, because she did not mince any words when she said that she was unhappy with this move. So in your own words, please tell us what you do not like about DeBrincat being traded.
Hey, so in summary, where do I start here? I don't even know where to start. There's too much to say, but I'll try to keep it short. So in summary, I just really do not like the assets that they got back from it. Yes, they got the 1st round pick. They got the top 10 pick, which is what I think the original thought was behind it, that at least they could get a top 10 pick. But the fact that they only got 3 draft picks in total for him, I think is a major loss. I think the original asking price was a top player or prospect, and the top draft pick, which to me seems very fair, considering Jack Eichel got 2 players, Brandon Hagel got 2 players and 2 first round picks. That seemed like a very big miss to me. If you're going to deal your best trade candidate, who you don't even have to move, you have to get the best package available, and I did not think that was it. If that was the best available, I think he should have stayed put, to be honest with you, especially knowing that Kirby Dach got such a high draft pick. I mean, yeah, so I was really not happy about that, and I don't know exactly how that benefits their rebuild to not have any kind of top prospects or anything, unless the guy they drafted, Kevin Korchinski, who we'll talk about later, turns out to be a real elite star. Then, like I said, we'll laugh about this later, be like, oh my gosh, we thought that was so bad. It turned out to be great. But I don't know. I really am, it's not sitting well with me at all, the fact that they kind of settled for that. And like Elliot Friedman said, he said it kind of sounded like a panic move on Davidson's part, like knew he needed a top 10 pick and wasn't getting it, so he just had to do it, kind of thing. And yeah, I don't really like that philosophy either. So yeah, I don't like it at all.
Okay. And I think that a lot of people are in complete agreement with you. I am going to play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Yes, I think that losing DeBrincat was a big blow. And I really was kind of hoping that the Blackhawks could undergo a true rebuild and keep DeBrincat around. But let's face it, he was the organization's biggest trading chip. And I know you say he received an underwhelming return, but Davidson did reference this, that the big money that DeBrincat's going to demand in his next contract. And so there was a lot of teams that, just weren't prepared, or, that gives them pause in basically making a deal. So I think that's a fair argument. And I think that he really did probably go with the best offer that he was given. He said that a top 10 pick in the deal, was enough for him. And I think that he really went in knowing that he was going to trade DeBrincat, which leads me to my next point, in that if you consider how good DeBrincat really is, especially when he plays alongside Patrick Kane, the Blackhawks don't want to be good next year. They're tanking. So if they have DeBrincat around, then that makes them mediocre. And let's face it, they've been mediocre the last 6 or 7 years, and it hasn't really gotten them very far. So I think it was time to cut the cord. I think that they knew that they were going to do it, and rebuilding involves trading your best assets with the future in mind. That's what they did. It's painful right now, but I also think that doing this might actually lead them back into contention faster in the long run, because they're going to be bad for a couple of years and get good draft picks.
Yeah. And I get that. And I think the last thing I want to say to the viewers maybe that are watching is I was okay with trading DeBrincat. I felt like that was coming. Like you said, there was reasons to trade him to try to kind of, tear it down and try to build this back up again. I was okay with trading DeBrincat for sure if the price was right, and I didn't think the price was right there. So that was kind of where I'm trying not to be wishy-washy here. Like, oh, I said trade him, and now I'm like, wait, no, why do we do that? No, I was okay with it, just not for that price. But yeah, I get what you're saying too. They are tanking, very obviously, blatantly tanking here.
That's for sure. Yeah. Especially when we get into everything else that we're going to talk about here, okay, let's talk about the return for DeBrincat. 7th overall pick, defenseman Kevin Korchinski of the Seattle Thunderbirds from the WHL, and the 39th pick, Paul Ludwinski of the Kingston Frontenacs OHL. So Brooke, we were hoping you could give a little scouting report here. What do you know about defenseman Kevin Korchinski?
So Scott Wheeler, who's a prospect expert for The Athletic, wrote about the upside. He said the upside with this kid, with Kevin Korchinski, is unparalleled to the guys I have seen. That he was probably one of the most exciting prospects in this draft as a whole. The fact that he had 65 points in 67 games, he's obviously an offensive defenseman, very dynamic that way. 6'2", 185 pounds. He's got the size that the Blackhawks kind of wanted. He said he models his game after Shea Theodore. Not a bad defenseman to model your game after. The thing that the Blackhawks wanted was speed. He's very fast. He's a playmaker. He's someone they want to be their first power play unit defenseman. He's a first pairing defenseman is what they view him as. So, I mean, those are all needs the Blackhawks need for sure. And he could be a steal. He kind of went up the ranks of the prospect. First he was kind of like at the bottom, meaning like maybe like bottom 30 kind of thing, maybe second roundish. And then he kind of just shot up this year to being one of the most, like they said, maybe one of the most exciting prospects. So like I said, if this does turn out, if he turns out to be elite and being the puck moving, playmaking defenseman they want, and he turns out to be elite, then like I said, I will laugh about this later and be like, I cannot believe I complained about that. So he seems like he has a lot of upside for sure. I like what I've heard so far, but like I said, we'll have to see how that translates.
Yeah, and the Blackhawks actually have their prospects camp this week, so we'll hear a little bit more about how he does, Korchinski in that camp. So I was given the assignment here of talking a little bit about the 39th overall pick, center Paul Ludwinski. All right, not real big, 5'11", 183 pounds, but strong skater. He's known to have high energy, always going, great compete level. Wow, who does that remind you of? It sounds exactly like a replacement for Brandon Hagel, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. We know that this is the kind of guy, this was kind of a theme throughout the entire draft, that they're targeting the speed and skill and tenaciousness. Let's see, he was the 5th overall pick in the 2020 OHL draft. So that's kind of cool. He finishes his scoring chances when presented to him. One weakness is he isn't as great at creating offense on his own. So he's more of a depth or complementary player, probably. On his current team, third line center, responsible defensively. You have to be when you're a depth player. Plays both sides of special teams. So power play and penalty kill. And he just wins puck battles, very skilled. Can create around the net front presence, and also showing perimeter playing. So that all sounds good. Especially with the overall pick. I mean, these second round picks are the ones that we gotta hopefully get those diamonds in the rough. So we won't know for a couple of years whether that happens, but that's what we know so far.
It seems like they are placing emphasis though on two-way players too. Like when you just said like centers who are responsible defensively instead of just being offensive, which is a good, because obviously we have a lot of players that are one-way kind of players.
Absolutely, right? Going for that all-round thing, and it might take a while to get there, but eventually all that depth and all-roundedness to your game is what makes ending teams. So, all right, topic number 3, the Dach trade. Okay, another early surprise in the draft. The Blackhawks traded Kirby Dach to the Canadiens for 13 and 66. We already talked in our crossover segment a little bit about losing Dach. It's pretty hard to stomach that a former 2019 third overall pick is now given up for 13 and 66 in this draft. But Davidson is obviously tearing it all down. We already touched on this, and they didn't really feel like they had the confidence in Dach turning his game around. So let's talk a little bit about this 13 overall pick, Frank Nazar. And what do you think? What can you tell us, Brooke, about this newest member of the Blackhawks organization?
I actually like this pick a lot. When he was picked and they were talking about him, I was like, I like this kid. And before we get into hockey, he seems very pure. I know me and you talked about this, Gail, already, but for the Hawks fans that didn't see, apparently he has 3 sisters. He's the only boy of 3 sisters. Who does that sound like? Patrick Kane, right?
Yeah.
And he was saying how he would love to have 3 daughters in the future. He seems very pure. So that's good on him. Okay, sorry. Besides
wholesome content.
Yeah, wholesome content. Yes. Okay, that's good. We got a high character person there. Anyways, okay, hockey sense though. I know that's what's most important here. I thought it was interesting that he won the highest ceiling, the prospect with the highest ceiling nod in the Elite Prospects Draft Guide. That says a lot considering they have a lot of prospects that they kind of sift through and sort through. So what I got from him was that he's very high speed, deceptive, good playmaker. He had 105 points in 80 games with the USA U18 program. But I know that they said his size is a bit concerning because he's only 5'10" and 181 pounds. That concerns people. But he said Braden Point is his role model for hockey. They consider him to be a full effort utility guy. Kyle Davidson said he's a forward who will drag people into the fight with him. I love that description. I love that. He seems like he will go through a brick wall. So you know what? I like it. I like it a lot. I don't think his size is a concern, but everyone keeps kind of hyping on that. I think he can get bigger, bulkier for sure. I don't think it's a problem to me, but we'll see. I kind of like all those attributes though. High speed, high compete, elite kind of thing. Good score. That's another thing. Good score. He can produce points. That's what we need. I like it.
When you talked about interviewing him at the draft, it was just amazing. Like he literally, like you were just sucked in. He was so excited and he was so like just full of like energy, even when he just interviewed for 30 seconds, you know? So, and everyone was kind of, oh my God, I like this guy, not even knowing anything about him. But yeah, you brought that up that, he seems like he's a pure goal scorer. And I'll tell you what, another comparison, we just talked to Brandon Hagel for the other guy. But you get all these people, you get Ludwinski, we get all these people mixed up. But yeah, pure goal scorer, and it almost seems like he could maybe be a replacement for DeBrincat down the road. Who knows? You never know what happens, but maybe I'm going a little outside the box there. And you talked about him being small, 5'11". You want to know what? That's 3 inches on DeBrincat. So
yeah, yeah, exactly. They've had fine, success with like smaller players with Cole Caulfield, Brandon Gallagher, Alex DeBrincat. I don't think it's a problem.
I don't either. It sounds like it's.
And Braden Point is smaller too, and he's dynamic. So yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. All right, well, we're about halfway through here. We got 3 more segments to talk about here with the draft. Morning Skate, if I haven't reminded you before, go to morningskate.io for the newsletter that the Hockey Writers put out Monday through Friday. Topic number 4, let's talk about the last piece of business that came out of the draft, the first night of the draft. Blackhawks acquired goalie Petr Mrazek and the 25th pick from the Toronto Maple Leafs for their 38th pick. So Brooke, let's talk about Mrazek. They got their NHL caliber goalie. Are you happy with this move?
Not really. And it's not about Mrazek, actually. I think Mrazek's fine. I know he had a really bad year, and I think he could be better, especially what we saw from the Carolina Hurricanes. I think he's fine. It's more about I don't think he fits a rebuilding team, frankly. They don't want to be good, like we just talked about. I think at that point, you just need someone who's capable of being a goalie, and I think they have that already with Kevin Lankinen and Colin Delia. I feel like they're good to just fill in for the rebuild, I think, and let the other goalies develop. I don't see Petr Mrazek being the future of this team either. So there's like a lot of like intangibles that I just don't think he fits here. And that's not a knock on him. I maybe don't think it's the right situation for him either. But the fact that they got a 1st-round pick for him, I'm not mad about it. I know they had to take on his full salary.
Yeah,
I know they had to take on his full salary to do it, but we'll see. I know that Kyle Davidson said he just liked the fact that he was a goalie. He's an NHL goalie, and that's what I like about him. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm not crazy about it just for the rebuild. Not about Mrazek, though. Not from his standpoint.
Well, to a certain extent, I think that he's just kind of a placeholder of sorts. I could see, well, who knows? We'll find out later this week if they do re-sign Lankinen or Delia. But you really don't want to, it might hurt their development to put them behind a really bad team. So I think that that's kind of why they have him. He's a little bit of a security there. He can take the reins and he can basically be a mentor. So we'll see how it all unfolds. I'm happy with it. I think that it was something that they needed to do. But also let's discuss the 25th pick, because that was really kind of a sweetener in the deal here too. Once it was all said and done, Davidson ended up with 3 first-round picks when at the beginning of the day they didn't have any. So that's quite impressive. Say what you will about the draft, but with their 25th pick, they selected another defenseman, Sam Rinzel of Chaska High. He's still in high school, but he also played a little bit with the Water Blue Blackhawks last season of the USHL. What can you tell us? What do you know about Rinzel, Brooke?
When he was drafted, I think NHL Network was like, "Well, that was a reach." And that's not kind of something you really want to hear with a first round pick, is that, oh, you kind of reach there. You kind of want best player available. But from what I've heard, so yeah, he is in high school. So the Blackhawks consider him a long-term project. He won't be an immediate impact on the team. They want him to gain weight. He's 6'3", so he's a big defense, which again is what they seem like they're targeting, big defensemen. They want big defensemen. They said he's a great skater, got a great shot, and he's got size. They think those are all tools that can only get better as he gets older and develops more. So we'll see. But I know that a lot of people were projecting he would still be there in the second round. So we'll see. But what's funny is they talked about, again, the director of amateur scouting, Mike Donahue, was talking about how the Blackhawks really just wanted puck-moving defensemen, because they said they have a lot of defensemen that can't do that. They're just kind of pure defensive defensemen. They said, we don't have a Bowen Byram in our system, which is kind of ironic considering they had a chance to get him. But so it seems like they're trying to just make up for that by getting those puck-moving defensemen. So we'll see if he turns out to be elite. And like I said, we'll laugh again later if this isn't a reach and he turns out to be really good and everyone lost out on him. So we'll see. But like I said, they visited him a lot when he was playing. They really are really high on him. Even Kyle Davidson said, I wanted to get this guy. So we'll see. I like the fact that he's a big defenseman, has a right shot. So we'll see. But those are good attributes for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have a whole lot to add, except I think the pinpoint the fact that they were really targeting puck moving defensemen. We talked before the draft that to really they should be focusing on forwards, but obviously, they need to address everything. And the 2 defensemen, Korchinski and this guy Rinzel, seem like they again, like you said, the puck moving offensive defensemen. So. Best of luck to these 2 new defensemen that are coming in. Yes, I've heard he's a project as well, so we probably won't see him for a while. But let's talk about the remainder of the Blackhawks draft class. Obviously, we already touched on Korchinski, Frank Nazar, Sam Rinzel, and Paul Ludwinski. But those were the first 4 picks, 7, 13, 25, and 39. But then let's see, 57th pick was Ryan Green, center Ryan Green. 66th pick was winger Gavin Hayes, another winger at 81st, Samuel Savoy. 90th was Aiden Thompson, 173rd, Dominic James. Both of them are also centers, Thompson and James. Niles, I'm probably going to be awful with these 2 last names. We have Niles Juntorp, also a winger at 188, and 199, Riku Tohila from Finland, also a center. So, Brooke, thoughts or fun facts about the rest of this draft class here?
I got 2. So to start with Gavin Hayes, this guy intrigues me a lot. The fact that he seems cocky, but in a good way, not in a detrimental way. He said, to those who missed it, he compares himself to Blake Wheeler, but says that he's more skilled than him. So this guy has confidence, and I kind of like that. He's bringing in some kind of savvy skills already there. But he's another big body, 6'2", 178 pounds. He plays very physical on top of being productive. So I kind of like that. They say he's a very creative playmaker who's kind of got a mean streak. As a Chicago fan, we kind of like that kind of mean streak, but real productive. So we'll see. He had 19 goals and 30 assists in 65 games. So as you can see, he seems like more of a playmaker than a pure goal scorer, which I like too. So yeah, I kind of like that he's a little savvy in the way. He seems very confident in what he can bring, and I like that. Seems very sure of himself in a good way, like I said. So I'm excited to see him. He might fit in well with the Blackhawks. And then finally, their last pick in the 7th round, I might butcher this name. I tried looking it up to pronounce it. I couldn't find it, but it's Riku Tohila. He's a 6'8" center. A 6'8" center Like what? He's like Zdeno Chara.
Can you imagine him on skates, man?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Who the heck is going to knock him out of the dot? Exactly. Like, who is going to win a face-off against that? Like, I'm excited about that. Although he wasn't projected to really be picked. They said that he works hard, is competent defensively, but that he's kind of meh on offense, but they think he can grow. So we'll see if that turns into anything. But the fact that he's like Zdeno Chara in center form is hilarious to me, and I would love to see him in the face-off dot, just like running people over. That'd be hilarious.
I heard them say that he's from a small town and they thought he was a really good kid. So they kind of took a flyer on him.
Work hard.
Yeah.
Works hard. I like that. That's a big thing. They wanted character and players that were committed and work hard. So I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, I was actually going to highlight him too, being 6'8". Wow. But I guess what I will add is that all in all, 9 of their Blackhawks 11 picks were forwards, and 6 of them being being called out as centers. So they're definitely working on that depth down the center. And even though we just talked about the 2 defensemen, everybody else basically was forwards. So they're addressing that, and hopefully 1 or 2 or 3 of these guys will be some difference makers. So let's wrap up the show with our final question. And this is just kind of an overall question. Brooke, what are your overall thoughts here? What do you think about the Blackhawks and Davidson's first draft, 2022 draft?
When they drafted 2 defensemen in the first round, I was like, oh my gosh, here we go again. They're focusing on defense, which they do need defense, but it seemed kind of like, okay, here we go again. We need forwards. And then they seem to put so much emphasis on that. So I think it was okay. I won't say it was great, but I'll say it's okay for now. It seems like most of these players just have kind of attributes that can grow. We still don't know what they could be. They could be NHL players. They could not be. Who knows? I know some of them were reaches, not just the one I mentioned with Rinzel or what, but I know a lot of them were reaches. I was hoping they would get Lane Hudson, the defenseman, when he fell right into their lap, and that didn't happen. So yeah, I maybe gave it maybe a B- or something. Like, I think they had some good talent for sure, but I think there was some picks where I was like, I wish they kind of would have went another way. But we'll see. Like I said, I want to be proven wrong for sure. I want Kyle Davidson to make me look silly.
Well, I'll tell you what. They have a plan, and they're sticking to it, and they're not being wishy-washy. I think it was pretty impressive that they ended up with 3 first-round picks once it was all said and done. They went with that theme of scrappiness and speed. And you know what? We won't know for years to come whether this draft was a success or not. But at least they stuck with their plan, and they're going to stick with their plan. And again, we'll see.
What's interesting. Oh, sorry, Gail. Sorry to cut you off.
I'm done.
What's interesting is how Kyle Davidson seems very confident in building through the draft. Usually teams want to build around prospects. He seems very confident in being able to build through the draft, which is a gamble because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But he seems to have a confident team around him that thinks they really nailed this draft and that they got their guys. So we'll see if that works out. I like the confidence in that. At least they're not like, I don't know, guys. I don't know about this, but yeah, that's interesting to have a general manager that's so confident on building through the draft, which you need, but it definitely is a reach.
Well, and I think that's why there's so many people that are kind of like, oh my God, what's going on? Davidson's a clown, this, that, and the other, because this is like completely different than anything. It's a new path, and we'll see if this new path turns out to be a successful path. Well, time will tell. So, well, thank you, Brooke, for coming on and talking about the draft. It was tons of fun. And please don't forget to check our crossover segment where we discuss Blackhawks Canadians connections from this week as well. So we have 2 segments that you can watch. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we look forward to free agency news and updates to talk about as well. Stay tuned at hockeywriters.com for all of our awesome articles as well. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.